Well, we're excited about still playing, number one, but that's the way it's supposed to be. It'll be March 20th when we're playing. Again, it's what we're used to. My staff and I, it's all we know. When you're a women's basketball player in a top 20 program, you don't worry about spring break plans, going to Florida or going snow skiing. You worry about who your next opponent's going to be. And so for us, I think it's a natural progression and step for us. And again, got a great opponent in Tulane. It's somebody that we're semi-familiar with and that we've scrimmaged them the last 2 years in the preseason with the doors closed, which is a good thing because they've handed us our tail 2 years in a row in late October. But obviously, I think we're a little bit different than we were back in late October, early November. I'm sure they feel the same way. So we're excited about the opportunity to play. The WNIT is a very prestigious tournament. There's a lot of tradition-rich teams in the field this year, and a lot of postseason success, some Hall of Fame coaches, and so we're excited about the opportunity to continue to play. And again, Tulane's well coached. They do have a tradition. They do have a history of being in postseason year in, year out, and so we've got our hands full tomorrow night.
In the luncheon, you used the word rewarding 2 times. How do you talk to the kids about not letting it be just a feeling of we're happy to be back in postseason and making the WNIT a rewarding experience?
Well, for them, number one, none of those players have been on a team that's been in postseason, if I'm not mistaken. So for them, it's a new experience. Should be a little bit of a settling experience in that we're at home and not having to go on the road, or just even being in a neutral environment like the NCAA tournament. So, again, the reward part, they can come back here from now until when they die, and there's going to be a banner hanging in the hump that's got their year on it. And so certainly in the future we want that to say the NCAA tournament, but for right now, it's a great step for this team, knowing where we were this time last year and where those kids were 2 years ago. Whether they played a lot, didn't play at all. Most of them, other than Martha, really didn't play a whole lot. Kendra, I think, started on that team, but again, she was a 5th option out of 5 on a 6 senior laden team. So they've all become important players for us and impacted our team and our program in many, many ways. So from that standpoint, it's got to be rewarding for them.
When you learned it was Tulane, I don't know how you found out, or I guess a phone call or something, but did your thoughts immediately turn to those scrimmages you had? And what
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, from that standpoint, we knew we could possibly play them. We already had film on them, and, that night became a late night, short night. My staff was up here. I left them at 1:30. They were up here past that. We were back in the office early yesterday morning. I'm sick right now. I hadn't slept much. I've been up since 1 last night. And, you're trying to cram it all in and make sure you're ready, you're prepared. You give your kids a chance in preparation, and my staff does a great job in that regard. So, but again, it's all we know. This is how you do it, and we know how to do it, and that's why we were ready when the field was announced. We had a group of 5 or 6 teams that we felt like we were going to get paired with, and we had that film ready. And once the decision was made and we were given who our opponent was, we were good to go.
From past experience in this tournament, when you've been at Arkansas, can you talk about what kind of a springboard this could be for the program?
Well, we've already gotten an extra week of practice in. You're going to get another competition, at least one in, with an opportunity to maybe get another, just depends on how you do tomorrow night. But again, it's for us, for our kids at this particular time. It'd be different if 4 years from now, we're still NIT-ing it, probably not a good thing. But right now, for the progress and the step of this program, I think it's a great thing. And we need to capitalize on it, And I think, regardless, I think we will capitalize on it. Again, giving your kids another chance to compete against a really good team, it's only going to make you better down the line. And so for us, right now at this stage in the foundation of this program, I think it's a great opportunity.
Johnny talked a little bit in the luncheon about how it's kind of been a 2-year progression with Martha, trying to build that confidence in her. But all the first team all SEC honors and defensive. How much do you think that maybe has helped with her confidence? Maybe showing it tomorrow night.
Well, I think from a confidence level, she's probably operating at a pretty good level. But with Martha, it's just sometimes how she wakes up. For lack of a better way to put it, I just think that there's some days that she feels really good and she got a lot of rest and ate good the night before and she feels great. And other days she's up all night, half the night studying, and she's tired. And for young people, that inability to have the toughness to get you through a business day, a work day, and that's, as I told her, I met with her the other night. That's my job is to make her a better basketball player, but I'm also got to get her ready for the real world. And the real world is if you wake up in a bad mood and you go to your office and work, and you work like sometimes we practice, she practices here, it's not going to be a scolding. It's going to be, hey, you need to take all your stuff with you when you go home today because you're not coming back tomorrow. And that's the lesson that a coach has to teach, the off-the-court stuff. But that's what college athletics teaches you that will help you in the real world. And so for Martha, it's just a matter of her mental toughness day in and day out. Most days she's fine. Most nights she's great. But, sometimes when she runs up against a little bit tougher, a little bit more physical player in a game, sometimes her level of competitiveness can peak out, can get to a certain, she won't push herself to go, you know what, you're good tonight, I'm going to be better. And I think that's the next step for her.
When you look at where you are right now, before you got this job, do you feel like you're at the position where you feel comfortable where this program is headed and in the right direction, you feel like?
All I can tell you is that the blueprint from where I've been and what we've been a part of in the years past is that first year we were 9-19 at A&M. Our first year here we were 13-17. We won 2 games in the Big 12. We won 5 last year in the SEC. This year we're 19-13. That second year we were 14-14 and went to the NIT. We won 4 games in the Big 12. We won 6 games now, counting the SEC tournament. So I've always compared it in those terms, and I think we're ahead. We're also ahead in recruiting. Our first recruiting class there wasn't ranked in the 35th like our first class was here. Our second class there, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 27th. This class is ranked 20th. So I think we're ahead in a lot of areas, but all I know is what's happened in the past, and that's what I constantly compare it to. So I'm absolutely pleased with where we are in the total program. I'm pleased where we are with this team. And again, I think our future is very bright.
What caused the big step, Texas A&M, going from WNIT to NCAA?
Well,
or maybe there were more than.
Well, I think that next year, number one, we went, I believe we went 5-1 or 6-0 against the North. It was the North and the South split at that time. And we felt like going into that third year we needed to sweep the North, and we did. And we split in the South, I think. And so, I think we went 10-6, if I'm not mistaken, in that second year or third year. So, for us, I think the next step is we've got to find a way to get in the SEC where we're, you're doing better than 500 in the league, because 500 is the benchmark. You go 8-8 in this league, you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. And I think for us, that's the next benchmark for us, is we've got to get to that point and beyond.
What I'm getting at is that third year. Do you know specifically what caused that? Was it just?
Well, number one, it was the development of that freshman class that had Aqua in it. That was our first class. Coach Franklin, her, Mariniki, and Rito, those were 3 4-year starters. And we backed it up with 3 more 4-year starters. So Bree, Katera, and Dom are the freshmen. Savannah's the wild card. She's the junior college player that we got. But those kids, we've got 2 starters in that group, could be 3 with Katera. And then now we've backed that up with the 5 that we've signed, plus we've got Chinway sitting out. So of those 5 we signed, there needs to be 3 more 4-year starters in that group, which I don't doubt that's probably that and then some in that group. So I think we don't know how that group's going to pan out, but that's how it panned out in the past. So that's why it was so important that we stack recruiting classes. That's how you do it. You don't get one good one and then go 3 or 4 years and then get another one. You got to stack classes, and I think we've done that now in our first 2 years here.
Do you feel better about that class, the fact that you don't have to throw those kids into action? I mean, you want them to be able to compete, but you don't have to have 5 new starters out there. You have some girls that are already ready to go.
Absolutely, and there won't, again, we've got basically in this first class we've got three starters in this class. And in that next class next year, out of those 6, because Chinway gets thrown in that class now. In that class, by the way, with Chinway in it would go higher than 20. So you got to feel good about that class and knowing how competitive those kids are, the success they've had in high school, the high level that they've played in AAU. You got to feel good about those kids coming in here and what they're going to bring to the table. So again, I think that's part of what you do in building a program. Now, we got to go get 3 more good ones in the 15 class.
Do you have a sense of how the kids are treating this opportunity? Because like you mentioned at the top, they don't really have a sense of what the postseason is about. But just, did they get a sense of the bigger picture in terms of how this experience can help them and help the program?
I think for them it's just another opportunity to play and compete. For some of them it might have been, we got another week of practice, because it is such a grind and all. But I think when the lights come on tomorrow night, I think they're going to be excited about playing. We had a really good practice 2 days ago. Yesterday was a bit of a grind, but we got a lot of the game prep in yesterday. We'll get more game prep in today. But, it's been that way with this team all year. And quite frankly, you know what? This team, every team's different, and this team handles pressure differently. If they're not joking and cutting up and loose on the bus, I'd be worried about them going into a game, quite honestly. Whereas other teams I've had, if it's quiet, they all got their headphones on and they're listening to their music, they're getting ready. But every team's different, and I think this team's been a little bit different. They're a little superstitious. They don't want me coming in the locker room too early. They got a specific time they want me in there, and I've been in there early a couple times and it hasn't worked out good. So that's their out. Hey, coach, don't come in here till 38 or 40 or whatever. So, and that's fine.
Coach, you mentioned your trip to Europe several times in the luncheon and everything. But how important is that going to be for the continued development of this program? And will Chinway be able to be a part of that?
Yeah, all 6 of those incoming kids, our 5 freshmen in Chinway, will all be eligible for that. And that's what's really unique. It gives us a chance to jumpstart that team that season with 10 extra practices if we want them, and then to go compete together for 4 or 5 games over there. The educational aspect of that tour is unbelievable. I mean, it's just an incredible event. But from a basketball standpoint, it's really going to be special as well. And the thing also that tour builds is camaraderie, builds a unity, family, team, which we don't have an issue with. We're very close. Our kids love each other. They get along well. They do lots of things together outside of basketball. But that's what that tour also provides, is a chemistry aspect that you might not get sitting around here at summer school, or even, summer school is going to be over and they're going to go home for 3 weeks before school starts. Well, no, now we're going to go spend time together in some pretty close quarters, and it's really going to provide you that aspect of chemistry which you desperately have to be successful.
Touching